Good morning and welcome Enterprise Connect Virtual 2020 attendees. I'm Trevor Shulze, CIO of RingCentral, and welcome to our panel discussion on the post-pandemic organization reimagined. Today I'm joined by two key RingCentral customers, David Baker, CIO at Pac Dental, and Steve Xenos, CIO of PM Pediatrics. Gentlemen, welcome and thank you for being with us today. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to focus our discussion on what the reimagined organization post-pandemic will look like and what it will take to get there, especially for healthcare providers. So let's set the stage. During his keynote yesterday, our president and COO, Anand Eswaran, talked about our unique workspaces. He also talked about how the world of work will likely never be the same again, and I couldn't agree more. Without question and doubt, COVID changed our collective experience forever, resulting in the world's biggest work from anywhere movement ever imagined. And from the start, it's been really well documented that CIOs played a pivotal role, both from a business continuity perspective and also enabling organizations to set things up and accelerate this work from anywhere environment. I've heard story after story about the heroic efforts of our fellow technology leaders. And this is something that's been coming for years. People have talked about digital transformation. And when the pandemic hit, that suddenly happened across the globe. And it was like all industries, it was a flipping of a switch. Suddenly, business communications became front and center to the survival of both companies and communities. And some were more prepared than others. We had one side of the spectrum where people were using cloud native technologies for business communications as well as other. And then we had people who were not through the transition yet in legacy environments who were struggling, quite frankly, to make this scramble happen to get everyone working from home. Found themselves with on-prem equipment, patchwork of solutions, confusion, buying carrier bandwidth, buying software, realizing certain software had security issues, even down to the laptops. So in that rush, some technology leaders allowed things to happen and now they're unwinding it. And we're in this recovery phase where prospects and customers are coming to RingCentral and to other people in our industry with questions about how they move to the cloud. How do they move to mobile? How do they look at the long haul? So today, it's about talking about where and how we reacted, and also, but more importantly, how we move forward. So let's talk about what forward looks like. And to kickstart the conversation, I'd first like our panelists to just quickly introduce themselves. So David, let's start with you.
Sure, thanks Trevor. David Baker, I'm the Chief Information Officer over at Pacific Dental Services. We are a dental services organization that supports some 850 plus owner-operated offices across the country.
Great, thank you. Steve, quick introduction, please.
Sure. Steve Xenos, CIO of PM Pediatrics. We're the largest pediatric specialty urgent care centers in the country, about 60 offices right now, and operate from 12 to 12 midnight and 365 days a year.
Thank you both for being here. So I think myself and everyone has been thinking a lot about the world we live in and all the ways technology is transforming the way people shop, bank, potentially travel again. And more importantly for this panel, how to get access to healthcare. And when the pandemic hit, all of these plans that were put in place were suddenly accelerated. So let's start with a simple question. Tell us about your work from home experience and your transition. So Steve, I'll start with you.
We were lucky enough to do a RingCentral migration for our corporate office and our billing team. So when COVID hit, we were capable of sending all of our corporate employees home, and our billing team was able to continue to work from home without skipping a beat. And we also use RingCentral Call Center, the contact center software. So that immensely helped our ability to be able to comply with all the COVID regulations and all the disruption that took place.
And how fast did you have to put these things in place?
Yeah, we didn't have much notice. So our corporate offices went home within about a week's notice, 2 weeks' notice from Governor Cuomo's recommendation to start to send people home. So that worked out really well. But our offices were still on a traditional PBX system, and you did a great job helping us to transition those offices and get them onto RingCentral.
Congratulations on the transition. David, how about Pac Dental?
So we were in a pretty fortunate position that we spent the last 18 months plus installing a very solid foundation. So overhauling everything from the networks, ensuring the offices had SD-WAN, diversified service, IP telephony across every single one of the offices, including all of our support centers. We were in a good spot. We are also in the middle of a large Epic deployment, which we continued with virtually throughout the COVID pandemic. And what that enabled us to do was jump on some of the other virtual software we use to be able to really give folks that move to the home environment a very consistent experience across all of the new cloud stack software, and then some of the more legacy software which needs some virtual transportation. So all of the support center staff, literally overnight were moved through a very, robust production line, I like to think, and people would check out the hardware. That was the biggest part, was making sure that people were able to, remove the hardware. So we did that and got them set up. And then, of course, the other side of the business are the offices who are not able to work remotely entirely or much at all. In fact, being in dental, as you know, when you have a toothache, you need to be chairside and spending some time with the dentist. So where we help those guys, digitally, was more to get the patients in through the door, or at least a virtual consult. So one of the things we spun up in rapid form was the teledental product. So and that was remarkable. Within 2 weeks, that was up and running to 800 offices plus. And we saw within 3 weeks close to 3,000 consults. So pretty remarkable in terms of that timing and rallying the right folks and repointing the right folks, including RingCentral, who helped us pull together something that wasn't the traditional out-of-the-box product, and spun that around and went to market with that at a fairly breakneck speed. So very pleased with the results.
Wow, that's an incredible story. The speed that you did that and the scope and scale is phenomenal. So congratulations. Let's follow up on that. End user experience, business communication seems to be front and center with a lot of how we reacted and kept businesses going. What was the employee experience been like as it pertains to this technology adoption? This transition was quick, it was unexpected, but employee experience, customer experience. David, any thoughts?
Yeah, the customer, for us, it's like I say, the lens is in two camps. The support staff that are hugely important in supporting our offices, and those offices serving the patients and the local communities that they serve. So that there's been mindset changes across the board. I think we were again fortunate as a company that really embraces video. And we had that solid platform that I alluded to earlier, whereby folks were used to jumping on video, and now they only do it more so. So from day one, when people were moving out of their office environment on the support centers on the back end, they were used to coming together by video. We're a video on meetings company, right? It's not like, don't hide behind the screen, let's get after it. Together, it's definitely the next best thing next to being there in person. And it only increased adoption there, which I think helps build culture for sure, and adds in that, that interaction. There's nothing like that face-to-face. It's always a little lost sometimes, some of those transactions, just by audio. So it's been great to watch that just grow, and teams come together by video and then jump on those immediate interactions through Glip or ring rooms as well, and just the text-based interaction, but more real time, and seeing that grow has been huge in adoption as well.
Great. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, similar story. We were a very video-centric organization already because we have a lot of distributed corporate staff. But the addition of chat and the addition of a RingCentral phone on a smartphone, on a tablet, always having your phone extension handy was huge. So we can easily find people instead of maintaining cell phone lists and home number lists. It streamlined everything. And again, when a corporate location goes home, everyone loses that high touch. People are used to dropping by an office and chatting for a few minutes or checking on something, and to be able to spin up a video session or a quick chat was huge in keeping that corporate continuity together.
Yeah, great stories. Thank you both. I appreciate it. So let's look forward. That's sort of how we reacted to the current situation. And now let's move the discussion about looking forward. And I think it's clear that the healthcare industry has been fast-tracked into the era of digital transformation. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about Epic and electronic health records and whatnot, but now we have things like telehealth, which is the new reality. There's a stat that I was reading just before this, where with patient adoption up 33% over the previous year, even without this situation. But looking at this market, it's now looking to be 180 to $190 billion by 2025-26. So, gentlemen, with digital transformation being accelerated in your space, what does it look like for customers? What will the next phase look like, and what are the gaps that need to be solved? So, David, given Pac Dental's launch into teledentistry practice, let me check in with you for starters. What does it look like?
Sure, I think it's digitally enabled. It's patients being able to communicate on their terms, right, in the channel that they want to and when they want to, 24/7 essentially, and then us delivering and serving up the best data and the best the best diagnosis, if you like, digitally to help with the conversation between patient and dentist. And ultimately in dental, as you know, Trevor, when you've got that toothache, you need to get on the into a chair, right, and see someone face to face. So for us, it's making it as easy and seamless as possible to get to that situation. So the teledental is great, and it will continue to evolve, and I'm sure we'll end up, having intraoral cameras, for example, almost disposable as part of that mix eventually. Right now, we're in those early stages of doing those, those video consults, which are helpful. But like I say, ultimately, it's how are we going to ease that transition into the office and give you as much quality data about the situation, both visually and by way of your health record, right? And bring those together. So what you're noticing with dental, especially for us, and you touched on Epic briefly there, is that we're bringing that continuum of information together. For the first time ever, for us at least, we're able to start talking about the oral systemic link and the mouth-body connection and stuff that people have never really done in dental. So the partnerships between dental and healthcare will become more and more seamless. The information that the patient, gets presented to make informed decisions and have a great understanding, more so of the 360 of their health, is going to be like we've never seen before. So I'm excited to help be part of that, that information overhaul and start to provide really proactive insights for our patients.
That's incredible. You touched on Omni Channel in terms of digital channels that people may engage with their dentist. Can you talk more about what you see evolving there?
Yeah, it's us knowing every encounter that you've had and who you are, and taking out all of those laborious manual steps of, hey, what's your name? Hey, what's your date of birth? So whether you call us, whether you use text to get to us, whether you go into your patient record through the patient portal, for example, and can have that secure, dialogue between patient and office, patient and doc. it's how do you want to be, how do you want to converse with us, right? How do you want to get into an office? Do you want to not speak to anybody? That's fine. Do you want to not send us a text? That's cool. Do you want to just book an appointment straight away? That's fine. Let us help you self-serve, because there are folks that love to pick up the phone, and there are folks like me who hate to make a phone call, and this is absolutely necessary because I can get more done through text and multitasking and servicing my own personal ADD.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast things have changed. Even my own dentist, he's close to retirement, and he's set up a portal. He now texts only. The phone's rarely used. It's just amazing how in this space, how quickly things have changed. Incredibly interesting. So Stephen, your side, from the pediatrics side of the house, what are you seeing from your side?
Sure. Well, telemedicine and urgent care were made for each other. We could do most of what we need to do, except for sewing up a laceration or something like that, can be done over telemedicine with a camera. So we saw a huge uptick in telemedicine. In telemedicine uptake. We saw upwards of 200,000 visits over a few months' time, which was amazing. When the volume in the offices dropped off, it really took off on the telemedicine side. And like I'd mentioned early on, we were trying out telemedicine. We didn't know what the uptake would be, and we were concerned about impacting our net promoter scores, and because in person and over a device are two different things. But we found that the younger families that are in our sweet spot now, they love the technology. I think they would probably rather come in, rather use the telemedicine than really come in. Because a lot of times it's a quick question, there's a bump or a bruise or a rash, and they wonder, do I come in, do I not come in? And this younger generation really feels that, let me just snap a quick visit and check something out. And we found during our surveys a surprising number of our customers would not have come in if it wasn't for telemedicine, because they didn't think it was either serious, or they didn't have the time, or they have 4 kids that have to drag into the office. So there's definitely a niche for telemedicine. But unfortunately, we have to overcome some of the challenges, is reimbursement, credentialing across the country. We're not there yet. A lot of rules were relaxed, and hopefully those rules will stay relaxed, and there'll be some legislation to really help this new technology take off.
So do you see this staying, or is this is this temporary?
Now, this is going to be a big part of our business. We're going all in. We're doing, like I said, telehealth. We're doing in-school telehealth also to assist school districts that are maybe not served well by a hospital, or they're rural. So there's a huge need for telehealth in this country, and I think we're just seeing the beginning of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just looking at a stat. 83% of patients expect to use telehealth even after this pandemic resolves. So it's like structurally your business has changed.
Yeah, we saw the same thing in our surveys. They will come back. They want to come back.
Okay, great. So let's look even further out. Obviously, in the healthcare industry, how we deliver services are going to go more digital. There's going to be different ways to connect with providers. As a technology leader for your organization, and has the current environment change your investment strategy? And what I mean by that is, a lot of people recognize, and it's well documented, that business communications has come front and center. But has it changed your overall strategy as a company, or as an industry, or as a practice? And then what does it look like in the future as a whole? Maybe further out thinking. So David, let's start with you.
Yeah, it certainly has. I think if anything, and just proof has been the recent months and the rapid rate of innovation that's happened, is that we're seeing more agile development cycles, if you like, at least from our side. We can move faster, and this is good. So let's embrace it, and let's be really more laser focused on what we're taking on and what we're going after. So speed to market for us, I think, is definitely a change, and a great one. I'm happy with doing more with less, and just becoming more innovative in general. And then taking out any pressure points, right, in the office. It's now really as simple as patients are not really wanting to pick up pens anymore. I find myself going into a supermarket and getting a little agitated when they don't take Apple Pay. So I'm like, now I got to pull my card out and I got to stick it in the machine, and then it's kind of like, I don't know, it's probably gross in that machine, and it's just there's a sequence of events that were normal for us before that we didn't even think about, right? And now, unfortunately, I mean, probably safer, but we're becoming a little germophobic in certain areas that never even mattered. Picking up a pen from your menu in the restaurant to sign your check. Now I'm going into restaurants and I'm scanning a 3D, barcode and just checking out on the phone, which at first is a little different, and then is like, this is wonderful. Now I don't have to wait for the extra trip, right? For the wait staff to come back and bring me it and then sign it, and it's cutting out. It's making us more agile, lean style within the business. So I'm excited to embrace all of those things from especially from the payment side of the house, and then reducing the number of things that you have to touch, right? To make it even more of this seamless transaction, so that ultimately you're spending more time with your caregiver, with your provider, and not worrying about all this, the minutia in between. And that goes back to the point again, Steve was talking about, billing and the vast array of codes that are out there, and how do we begin then to even automate those more so that it just ties the whole experience together, and we're not going through this needless waste of human interaction, phone to phone, and prone to error if we just tie it together at the back end.
Yeah, so even the touchless strategy happens in the dental industry as well. Fascinating. Steve, to you, any thoughts?
Touchless is definitely the future now, whether you wanted it or not. So we're examining that in the offices. But in terms of technology adoption, to continue on another thread we were talking about, the adoption of chat in our organization is completely taken off. Before they played around with it, they would chat. There would be small subgroups. But we have some corporate, all provider chats that go on, especially around telemedicine. So the exchange of information, where they used to pick up a phone and ask, did you ever see a rash like this, or did someone presented with these kind of symptoms? There's a running chat, which is it's great to see the interaction with the company. And providers that are in Alaska talking to providers in the tip of Long Island. So it's definitely brought the company together. And we're also going to be rolling out chat we're rolling out a formal call center for the first time, and using RingCentral to help us do that. And having Omni Channel, I think, is huge, because like I mentioned before, this generation really doesn't want to pick up the phone. They want to chat. They want other ways of getting their information and interacting. And we're going full on with this initiative.
Awesome. Business communications continues to be front and center. So I guess final question for both of you. The healthcare industry did not have the luxury of shelter in place. You as an industry, obviously, essential workers, and I think for the most part have been in the office. Any advice for the other industries that are starting to contemplate the return to office, return to work, lessons that you've learned, or anything that you would like to share? And Steve, why don't we start with you on this one?
It's a difficult question. Being a medical office is very hard to really find an analog in the corporate world, but it's there's a fear that needs to be overcome, and as COVID just starts to be taken care of and becomes a memory, we're always going to remember this, and I'm sure it's not the last issue that's going to come around. But I think we've learned from these, just like 9/11, we learned from things. Every shock to the system, you get a muscle memory, and I think people are going to build for this in the future and have that in their pocket, and be better prepared.
Awesome. David?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember we're going to come through this, right? This is a point in time that's been, it's quite a horrible sequence of events and painful for many, and that right now, take those precautions. For us, the offices, we've always been, I think, a really great safe zone, if you like. As much as we can, there's been tons of PPE in those offices, and we've only added to that. And now with the patient, making sure that they do as much as they can when they enter the office. We've got a range of opportunities, from text from your car all the way through to making sure that you're wearing a mask when you come in initially. So I think it's just taking those basic precautions, and I think as we go through 2020, I cannot wait until things start to normalize again. And it's definitely, it's still quite the hill to climb, but we're in much the same way the human race has been so resilient. I see light at the end of the tunnel. We're right now working on although I don't like this term, the new norm right now. Working from home is working out for those that can, and for those in the office, taking all of the precautions and wearing all the PPE we give them is great. That's working out really well for us as a business, and continuing continuing to march down that road, vaccine time, and then I'm just like hoping this will be a bad dream.
So thank you, David and Steve, for joining our panel today. Fascinating discussion and great stories, and we really appreciate the guidance moving forward. For those of you who have questions, the chat is open right now, and please visit our booth for more information. Again, thank you for joining our panel today, and enjoy the rest of Enterprise Connect 2020 Virtual.